Guns N' Roses, Axl Rose vs. Slash. In the late 80s, Guns N' Roses were the undisputed kings of rock. But behind the scenes, the foundation was crumbling. Axl Rose and Slash were clashing over everything: creative direction, control, and the future of the band. Axl famously stated, "I'm not interested in compromising to make people happy. I'm interested in making the music I want to make. This my way or the highway" attitude pushed the band to a breaking point. By 1996, Slash officially walked away, shocking the world and claiming Axl ran the band like a dictator, in a move that made fans furious. It was revealed that Axl had secured the legal rights to the Guns N' Roses name, leaving him as the only original member for nearly a decade. They didn't speak in 2005. Slash tried to patch things up by showing up at Axl's house only to be sent away with a note. Even by 2009, Axl was bitter, calling Slash a cancer, better removed and avoided. It wasn't until 2016 that the impossible happened, a reunion. But don't be fooled. While they share a stage for a $600 million tour, they still don't talk or do interviews together. The feud might be quieted by cash, but the bond is long gone. Metallica and Megadeth, Dave Mustaine vs. Metallica. This is perhaps the most aggressive rivalry in metal history. In 1983, Dave Mustaine was Metallica's secret weapon, a guitarist with insane talent, but a dangerous drinking problem. While James Hetfield and Lars Ulrich were grinding in rehearsals, Dave was showing up drunk and starting fights. Without warning, the band woke him up and told him, "You're out." They didn't even fly him home. They gave him a Greyhound bus ticket and sent him on a lonely trip back to California. The pain deepened when Metallica continued to use Dave's riffs on their first 3 albums without giving him proper credit. Dave watched from the sidelines, furious. As they became global superstars using his work, James often dismissed Dave's playing, making fun of his voice and implying he wasn't on their level. Dave fired back, calling Lars a bad drummer and claiming Metallica's success was based entirely on his influence. Even after the 2010 Big Four tour, which fans saw as closure, the tension remained. Recently, in 2022, James admitted to feeling insecure on stage. Dave reached out to bury the hatchet, but James never responded. It seems that for Metallica, the past is better left in the rearview mirror. Van Halen, Sammy Hagar vs. Eddie Van Halen. When Sammy Hagar joined Van Halen in 1985, the band went platinum, but the internal chemistry was toxic. Eddie Van Halen was a visionary, but Sammy was a headstrong businessman. By 1996, Sammy left, calling the band dysfunctional, while the Van Halen brothers claimed his work ethic sucked. The true disaster, however, was the 2004 reunion tour. Sammy described it as the most miserable, backstabbing crap of his life. The clash wasn't just about music. Sammy wanted to promote his tequila company, which rubbed Eddie the wrong way. More tragically, Sammy claimed Eddie was in rough shape, struggling with alcohol and drugs, and even missing parts of his tongue due to a cancer scare. Sammy described Eddie in his memoirs unkempt and frighteningly skinny. Comments Eddie called complete __. To fans, it was brutal to watch two legends tear each other down in the press. However, as Eddie's health declined, Sammy felt deep regret. He reached out and the two finally reconnected before Eddie passed away. Sammy later said, "I'm so glad he didn't have to take it to his grave, and I don't have to take it to mine." The 90s grunge feud, Billy Corgan vs. Courtney Love. This rivalry is rooted in 1991, back when Billy Corgan and Courtney Love were actually dating. Their personalities were too explosive for a relationship, and the resentment lasted decades. Courtney's hit song Violet is widely believed to be about Corgan, whom she once introduced on stage as a jerk. By 1998, Corgan was being called a Svengali for Courtney, a mastermind who shaped her artistry, which she flatly denied. The feud reached a nuclear level in 2010. When Billy heard Courtney might use songs that co-wrote 20 years earlier, he told Rolling Stone, "I have no interest in supporting her in any way. You can't throw enough things down the abyss with a person like that." He then went on a massive Twitter meltdown, publicly accusing her of stealing his music and even attacking her parenting, stating the world was aware of her lack of responsibility. He claimed her child was smarter and cooler than her. Surprisingly, Courtney didn't respond with anger, simply saying, "All I am is nice about you." Today, they have found a distant peace, but the scars of their public and deeply personal shots remain a part of grunge history. The supergroup clash, Sebastian Bach vs. Ted Nugent in 2006. The reality show supergroup tried to force rock legends to live together for 12 days. It was a disaster. Sebastian Bach and Ted Nugent were total opposites. Bach claimed the show was just about drinking wine and fighting. Ted Nugent a hardcore conservative and straight-edge advocate, constantly shamed Bach for his drinking and glam rock image. Bach, on the other hand, couldn't stand Nugent's obsession with hunting, famously asking, "Does Ted wake up and shoot a cow and just fry it up or what?" The feud didn't end when the camera stopped rolling. In 2014, Nugent publicly jabbed Bach again, saying alcohol had taken a toll on him. Bach fired back immediately, calling Nugent's political views disgusting and racist, stating that being racist is __ weak. He made it clear that he didn't care to hear Nugent speak ever again. While Nugent tried to sound chill in a 2021 interview, saying he loved Sebastian despite their differences, Bach wasn't having it. When asked if he'd ever play with Nugent again, Bach's answer was a definitive no. It was a clash of values that no amount of music could ever fix. Kiss, Gene Simmons versus Paul Stanley. Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley founded Kiss in the early 70s, and while they were partners in merchandise and marketing, they were rarely on the same page personally. Paul Stanley didn't mince words, saying, "I thought he was full of himself, opinionated, brash, and insulting." Paul felt like he was doing all the heavy work while Gene was distracted by other projects and women. He described Gene as becoming a character of himself, someone who was emotionally vacant. Despite Gene putting up with these public blasts and claiming he loved Paul like a brother, the tension was always there. A major boiling point occurred in 2017 when Gene attempted to trademark the devil horns hand gesture. Fans were outraged, and even Paul Stanley had to speak out, calling the move nonsense and comparing it to trying to trademark the peace sign. Through decades of arguing on and off, they stayed together for the sake of the Kiss brand. It wasn't until their final tour in 2023 that they seemed to truly find peace, with Paul finally admitting that Gene is like family to him. 50 years of bickering finally ended in a quiet, professional respect.